Accepted. The next item on the agenda.
Wait, got one more.
Yep, for March 24th, 24th.
Yes. This is the one for the extended hours at Centennial. You know, you go past 7 o'clock at court order, you had to get out provisionals. We had one.
Did you resolve everything okay on it?
Yes.
Well, technically, they don't have to do anything anyway. They brought their data in person. It's just because the order.
It's just because they extended
My
hours.
question was, everything okay
Yes.
with it? She's a legal builder, right?
Yes.
That was the question.
I make a motion to accept it.
All right.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, passed unanimously. That provisional ballot has also been accepted.
Okay.
All right, the next item on the agenda is damaged ballots
Nope.
slash.
Provisional ballot for March 24th. We're going to go ahead and knock that one out too. I have one.
I thought we just covered that.
I thought we just did.
No, that's for June 9th. I had 2. Now
No,
we're doing
she said the one that we just did was for the extended hours.
extended hours.
Oh, okay, I got
So
you.
now we're down to number B.
I got you.
So we had one March 24th. It was an early voter. When he came in, he thought he was registered. He was not. He had been removed because he was a felon, and he thought he was automatically put back on when his sentence ended. He went ahead and filled out a voter registration, and then, as you know, the election was postponed. Voter registration was reopened, so he was able to be registered, and then this didn't have to be returned until June 9th. Yes. So he's not registered at the time, believed he was. He is registered now and voted PR, which they think they're registered, but they're not.
But when he voted, he wasn't registered.
He was not.
But the deadline got extended to May the 11th because the Secretary of State moved the election and the voter registration deadline for March to May the 11th.
Right.
So he then became eligible because he registered to vote prior to 5/11.
Correct.
But when he voted, he was not registered. That's all I want to know.
Correct.
All right,
I move that we accept it.
all right. Second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed?
Aye.
All right, so the ballot, the vote will fall upon me, and we're going to go ahead and accept the ballot as it stands.
All right. So we're done with that portion. Now we are. This is not on the agenda, but it's more informational, if y'all wouldn't mind. What happened is, you know, these ballots have to be in by June 9th at 7 p.m. Both of them were improperly delivered to other election offices, Walton County and Newton County. This one was delivered on the 6th. This one was delivered on the 8th. I spoke to Dina and Helen about one or the other, both, because they were delivered at a elections office, but to the wrong elections office, because that's where the post office delivered them to. I was going to go ahead and accept these since they were date stamped and in an elections office prior to the deadline. One was 3 days and one was 1 day, unless there's an objection. And both election offices did time and date stamp these, so I have, you know, a receipt date for both of them. Is that
All right, motion to accept?
So moved.
They met all the criteria, right?
Yeah.
just the wrong elections office through no fault of
They
their
got
own?
sent to the wrong location.
Right.
They
Well,
were still sworn in to accept it as an election office. It didn't matter where they were delivered as long as they were delivered by date and time.
so
All right, get a second?
Second.
All right, all those
Aye.
Who was the first? You,
Passed unanimously, that those ballots have been accepted.
Now, so as y'all know, on election night, we had a lot of damaged ballots. Some of them came in looking like this. Some of them came in where they were split, but not wholly detached, like that. And then there were a couple of them that were wholly detached like this. So you could not duplicate them based on the precinct, because here is what it should look like minus the stuff. It has where it's going to be assigned to. Two of them had Cheryl Bland as the candidate. By process of elimination, that is Northeast Precinct. So we are duplicating that as Northeast Precinct. However, these three, there's two of these that are nonpartisan. Nonpartisan are exactly the same in every precinct. But there's no identifying information. And then we have one Democratic one that is, we can't definitively say which one, because Cheryl Bland's in one, so that would be easy. Northeast knocked out. And Ballard is in Commission District 3, which is North and Central. But Central also has two other commission districts that have no Democrats on there. Buckhead, Bethany, and Clacks and West also. So I could say what it's not, but not what it is for all three of them.
All right, so there's two issues. The two ballots for Sandra, so we said, the two ballots for
Well, I had a couple that have Cheryl Bland on them, so,
Cheryl, I'm sorry, Cheryl
so
Bland.
we're gonna duplicate those.
Did you find out if, the law says that if you're not able to determine which precinct it goes to, can you count, I forgot to look that up.
I
Where's
actually,
the code
I
section?
couldn't find a code, so I went straight to Secretary of State Kevin Rayburn. He said, of course, some of those you can do by process of elimination. He said that you can just assign one that would follow this. So these two could be assigned to any precinct, and then this one would obviously have to be assigned to a precinct that does not have Cheryl Bland or Ann Ballard in it.
So you would know which precinct that was.
Correct. So there's, I mean, we have,
And so these are mail-in ballots that people removed the top themselves. It did not happen in this office, is that correct?
correct, because we did not find these. So what happened is when they received it, they slid it and they either left it in their envelope or, I don't know, but this is how this office received them, all three of them. So,
But Raven is saying that they can be counted, we just have to give it to a particular precinct.
correct.
I so move that we do that.
Okay. Can you make the motion to tell me which ones?
Oh, okay,
I mean, it doesn't matter, but I'd rather just,
it doesn't matter. Okay, for the two nonpartisan, that can go to any precinct. Am I correct?
correct.
I move that the nonpartisan ones go to, DFAX and Rec Center.
Any in the defects, because there's like 6 different combos. Can we just say Bethany Springfield?
Bethany Springfield, okay. And for the other one, I move that this goes to, which one you said it goes to?
It does not go, I mean, it could go to Buckhead, Bethany, part of, DFAX, Clacks, West.
Okay, I put this in Clacks. That's the motion.
Okay.
Anybody can second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Close.
So, let me just think about this for a second. So, the two for Cheryl are gonna be accepted, is that correct?
Right, because I can definitively say those go in Northeast.
Okay, and as far as these three, because it's missing information,
And I will go ahead and tell you, I won't be able to fully duplicate because, you'll notice this one, the top, so they are gonna miss some judicial races. But I can duplicate as much as I got.
I'm gonna vote nay, just because they're incomplete.
But the law says you can't do it.
The law doesn't tell you who are gonna sign a vote that they didn't have on there, and you
It-
can't duplicate it.
It says, Kevin, according to the Secretary of State's office, can assign it to any location.
But you don't have a complete ballot.
It doesn't matter. You can assign what is there to any location.
We understand
That's
that.
the law.
We understand that. But it's up to the board to determine whether or not we accept it, right? Isn't that our job?
I'm gonna,
2 for, 2 against, and it's up to you.
I'm gonna vote nay. Motion fails.
And in that same vein, part of what we are duplicating, not only damage like this, we had a few that were ripped like that. We had other ones that, the voter, when they removed the stub, here's a good example. This is addressing the scanner, issue. When they removed the stub, they actually removed part of the ballot. Obviously, it's complete enough that we can duplicate it, but the machine will not take it, even when we vote it that way, because a lot of the timing marks are off. That's what it looks like. Sometimes they cut off some of the other part, looks like somebody took a bite out of some of them.
But you had all the information for the
Right.
candidate and the precincts.
Correct.
Okay.
So these are ones that we are duplicating because the scanner will not take them in this, form.
That's good.
I wonder if the state of Georgia will eventually change the paper where it's not so easily ripped. You know what I'm saying, where it's,
Well, and generally, Runbeck did these, when they are produced in our office, or, from Tatnall and sent from our office, we remove the stuff ourselves beforehand, so there is no detaching. So, I don't know how it's gonna go in November, what they're gonna do, if they're gonna, push the absentee again and then take care of those, if they make changes to Runbeck. Because apparently this is a common issue in all of our offices, it wasn't just us. Where ballots were torn, either like this or that. So that's something, if they do it, it could potentially be an issue, it would not be an issue if they're coming from our office. Did you have anything else I didn't cover about Skinner?
Yes. The skinning, the situations where it didn't highlight areas, you remember when we were doing the adjudication process? Where it had a check mark but wasn't highlighted, did it actually get counted? Did those races actually get counted?
So, I'm gonna mark it, this ballot real quick. What she's talking about is when,
It's not one of those.
I know, but I'm just gonna use this as an example, so I'm gonna circle it. Somebody put a mark above it, like you see the check mark above the hole. What the timing marks are looking for is right there, a spot. And if it's not there, what they've been looking for is if the spot is in here, but we have people who did smiley faces or did some design in there, that came back as a straight questionable. So we went through there, or if they marked in two different places, the overvote. That's something that even if they had marked like this, we wouldn't have called in the old OS unit, and we would have let it go through, and there wouldn't have counted. So we have not been doing that in the adjudication process. Obviously, if you're looking at every single one with your eye, you're gonna see that there's an above that, but, we have not gone back and said, yes, this is supposed to be a vote for Stephen Bradley and fill that in. Because it's not even in the thing, it's, at least there's a gap in there. Cause we had a lot of people that did check marks, but the check marks were in here, like this. But then we'd have occasionally where the check mark would be completely out of it, and the adjudication process, excuse me, did not even recognize that as a vote, a stray mark, or ambiguous mark for us to look at. So it would count as a non-vote if it were like that.
It count as a non-vote or a mutilated ballot?
It would count as a non-vote. Just like it would of the other ones, because what they're doing is they're looking for a mark in this box. They're not looking for a mark above the box, around the box. Now, if that check mark goes into the box and goes out of it, as long as part of the check is in the box.
And that's what I was looking at, some of those that did have that, but the machine did not highlight it for adjudication.
Right.
And that is my concern. Is the scanner, is that adjudication process off where it doesn't pick that up, like the top of the thing may be in there and then it's giving it a no vote?
So every one that I saw, there was no part of the check mark that was in the oval at all. Every time that it was like this, it was completely out. The check mark was not even touching it. If it were a partial check, like if you had just like enough of that like that, they would recognize that there's something in the oval. But what they're looking for is what's in the oval. Just like somebody, they had circled the write-in, and it was enough in there that they said there is something there, even though they filled in the box here, or the oval here. So we had to go in and say, they just circled that and that was not a vote.
So the review panel would not consider that in a normal process. Because you missed it, the review panel didn't go back and take a look at it to see if the intent was there to vote for that person.
Right, because the marking is not in the oval at all.
I think that's inaccurate.
I think it's a hanging chad.
No, the board should hear what the
Excuse
actual,
me, this is a board meeting, and we won't have public comment in a moment.
but Tina, I was on the review panel that made the
We'll
decision
have
along
public
with
comment
Stephen.
in a moment.
All right, is there any other questions regarding the issues with the damaged ballots with the scanners, or any other discussion?
Well, I'm concerned about that. I think we probably need to take a closer look at that from a review panel perspective.
So that pile of ballots right there, even though we only have one up, is about all of them, correct?
I'm
That
sorry.
bit, you got a pile of ballots there, the one you were talking about, that pertains to all of them. Okay, good.
And I'm gonna mark this too, this my initial, my markings just so that we have that.
So what do we need to do with that? To me, I think that's the people that sit on the board, not us, the review board, not us. We don't have to vote on this, do we?
No, this is just a
Information,
that she brought up, that, now, the adjudication though, because they're not looking, like literally, because these are time marks, where the machine is looking for something in the hole. They're not looking for around it.
so the bottom line, Fred and Jean and you make up and decide whether or not to count that thing. I have no problem with that.
So, Mr. So do you have to go through all 3,012 ballots to choose the ones that are not, that are outside of the,
If we were to consider looking at the ones that are not in the circle, we'd have to look at the image of all of them.
all 3,000 ballots?
And then look at every one that's,
Well, if the scanner accepted them,
so,
Or it didn't.
so in there, the
or
scanner
didn't,
said,
I thought those are the only ones that
No,
works.
they're talking about all the ballots.
Oh, all of
If there's just some mark outside or above or below, not in the oval, in order to determine which ballots they are, they're gonna have to go through every single one of those ballots and look at.
We'll give her a second.
Say that again, and make sure.
So, but I guess my question is, how many ballots were actually rejected?
You won't know if they're rejecting that, that's what Kyle was saying, and Jennifer was saying. If it's not marked in the oval, it's not counted. But if it was marked above the oval or below the oval and the oval was clear, it's not counted.
That I understand.
Okay, the only way you can determine that is to go through every one of these and check every single thing to see if there was something above or below as an intent, but never got counted.
What are the other counties doing that are facing similar problems like this?
I don't know, I just saw that with our thing the other day,
Okay.
so I don't know how they're doing it.
I think we should wait, and maybe table it until we get some more information.
We had to certify.
Exactly.
So we're
Next Friday.
Next Friday, a week from tomorrow, we have to certify. So somebody's gonna have to make that determination now. Whether these 3 people are gonna.
You know, I'm willing to look at them myself to see how many that would be. I don't mind.
All 3,000 of them?
Yeah.
Hey, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, well,
Think so? Well, all right, so it's gonna be you, and are you gonna do it by yourself, or are you gonna,
She can't do it herself.
3 people on the board?
Does it have to be board or does it panel review?
Jennifer?
I mean, if you're
That's a
looking,
question.
if it's a review to see if it needs to be, it need to be the same type of makeup as the vote review panel, which would be Republican, Democrat.
Don't look at me.
All right,
I'm sorry.
let's just, why don't we just put it to a motion then? Unless you're gonna have a volunteer from the Republican Party.
What's Allison doing?
We got Fred behind us too. No Fred's from the Republican Party, but I don't know. To review 3,000 reminds me of Broward County.
Hanging Chad?
Who's that?
I gotta tell you, this is a problem since there was paper ballots.
I mean, if 3 people wanna review the ballots, and they wanna do it, quickly, then, I mean, honestly, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, that's what transparency is all about. So, but I need 3 volunteers, so. You got 1 Democrat, Fred? No?
Continue my duties. You should know that Stephen, who was standing by my side, we had 100% agreement that those were valid votes. And we instructed Jennifer to mark them as valid votes, the 5 or 6 ballots in which this was a problem. So it was not a controversial question in the mind of the ballot review panel that would see these.
All right, so let's do this, let's just put it as a motion then. All right, and then if it fails, it'll fail, all right? All right, so Helen has made a motion to review all 3,000 ballots to make sure that each box was properly marked and counted. Can I get a second? Okay, All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay. My vote is nay, motion fails. And the reason is you don't have three, so, all right. All right, so let's move on. The next item on the agenda is public comment on agenda items. Who would like to be first?
I am, I'm actually appalled that you've been notified that we have absolute clear evidence that the scanner failed to pick up and count valid votes that the vote review panel, consisting of Republican and Democrat, were absolutely clear should be counted, and you're not willing to look at the remainder of the ballots to see if the scanner made the same mistake on the remainder of the ballots. This isn't a Republican issue, it's not a Democrat issue, and I would humbly suggest that Jennifer's representation was limited because we didn't pull the original ballots and examine. We were looking at images on the screen. So to clearly represent, now Jennifer was closer to the screen, I was standing right over her shoulder, but to represent that for sure these were outside the box is putting a spin on it that I don't think any of us could for sure say without pulling those actual ballots out. So from an audit standpoint, that should be done. From a ballot is accepted, it was absolutely clear to your ballot review panel that those should be accepted votes. And what this says statistically is there could be 50 or 100 duly cast votes in Morgan County that you just don't want to look at to see if the mistake that was clearly noted during the ballot review process on a small number, how many did you look at? Between 150 and 200, was that right? So we saw 5 or 6 would be my recollection. Is that consistent with your recollection? Cases?
Now, I will go tell you, if you don't mind, the ones that were brought to us because of the check, which is considered an ambiguous mark, those were the ones that had the check marks above them, and we went ahead and fixed those. The ones that had clearly, if you fill in Sarah Doyle like this, you're not going to put a check mark above Elizabeth. I think that it's consistent. If you fill in, because you did one check, you did 12 checks, right?
We didn't have a single disagreement within the vote review panel about how to treat these, and we accepted every one of these cases. It is a scanner sensitivity question of failing to pick up a duly cast vote with the direction of the guy from Dominion. Jennifer looked up I think it's called a vote cast record, I'm not sure what it's called.
The audit mark.
The audit mark. We looked it up and confirmed that what we were seeing as a check mark, not dissimilar to all the other check marks on that ballot that we were reviewing as needed, that in fact it was reporting it as a no vote, as unvoted. And so we went back and directed Jennifer to mark those as cast votes because your vote review panel, Stephen Morris and I, and Jennifer determined that they should be counted. So the failure to be willing to look at the remainder of the ballots to see if this problem is replicated is an intentional choice, a knowing choice to choose a little bit of time and effort over the possibility of not counting a duly cast vote. And that feels really wrong to me. And against everything I see you guys putting your time and effort and all your poll workers putting their time and effort to make sure every vote that's duly cast should count. This is a system problem, not a voter problem.
All right.
And it's not a partisan question. There were Republican ballots in there as well as Democratic ballots. This is not about saving one kind of vote or another.
My input is that it's a hanging chad problem. You've got millions of votes were cast, and you've got machines to read it, and some people didn't check it correctly, and we're saying, well, we've got to go and 3 people, but read by hand every single vote cast, and that's just crazy.
But we counted some of those same people's votes
Hey, Gina,
were accepted.
honestly,
I thought it was
let's, we're gonna just once you make your statement, that's fine. Fred, would you like to add anything to your statement?
No, I'm just, what, no.
Yeah, the issue is, and I'm just gonna address this real quickly, is that what happens if there's a voter and he's thought about it, decided not to check it, but checked above it, and said, no, I'm not gonna vote for either one. I mean, there's no way you can make the determination.
So I would ask you, Michael, to see what I saw, what Stephen saw, what Jennifer saw, and what Helen observed, instead of dealing with what ifs and theoreticals. We saw 5 or 6 examples of the scanner failing to pick up a vote. We were unanimous that it was a duly cast vote. So for the sample we've seen, which was only a small share of the total ballots cast, we are very alarmed that duly cast votes are not being counted in Morgan County. And the solution is so simple. It'll be fast. You can move them up on the screen. You would never see them. If you did a plain review of those, you would assume those were cast votes. It's the computer software that's going to help lead you to just see them, and it's easy. It's so freaking easy. It's crazy not to do it.
Thank you, Gene, I appreciate it. All right, is there any other public comments? No? Okay. All right, at that point, we're gonna go to the meeting adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All right, second. All right, all those in favor? All those in favor? Got 2.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? No. All right, my vote is for a meeting to be adjourned. Thank you all for coming, and you guys have a great day. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry, I was talking, turn around to Fred. Can we go ahead and finish the ones I do have, and then we can